Hey Chris, how are you?
Hey, Chintan, doing great. It's Monday morning, recording another podcast episode with you, so can't really complain.
Yeah, I think like this should be like our new Monday routine. It's coming along nicely. We are liking it, and we have lots of cool stuff to talk about for lawyers and maybe later on for other kinds of businesses that we kind of deal with. So I'm super excited as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, today we are going to talk about how working with our firm looks like. Like once a law firm is kind of onboarded, then how the processes and all of the other things that a law firm might have questions about. So that's what we'll be talking about. Are you ready?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. It's my second nature. Been part of building a lot of those processes, so it's exciting to share what they look like.
Okay, perfect. So this is like a great in continuation with our last episode. We were talking about how law firms should consider hiring agencies or consultants and when they should consider doing so. So suppose like one law firm is deciding that okay, they want to go ahead with on the map marketing. They are hiring us. So what's the onboarding process like then? What does it like from like say the time that they decided they'll sign a
Mhm.
contract, I'm guessing, and then like how does it move forward from there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think we probably could dedicate a whole episode just on account management, which I think you're already planning to with our
Yep.
client strategy director, Valeria.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
but just the initial steps are pretty straightforward. You sign a contract, then you receive initial onboarding email from our team. Um,
mm-hmm,
in this initial onboarding email, we're basically scheduling a call with the points of contact from the law firm. Um,
mm-hmm,
then we have certain credentials we'll need to receive, which is like Google Analytics, your Google Business Profile, your website access, figuring out whether hosting needs to be switched from old provider to a new provider. Uh, where things could get a little bit more complicated is certain providers they own the websites, so then you
mm-hmm.
have to do entire website transition, which most likely will look like a website rebuild. Um, and that's, in those cases just takes a couple of months to build a new site. So the SEO campaign usually starts when the website is launched, but that's kind of 2% of scenarios. Usually we get the access to the website and we're able to start working on the site. um, Once the onboarding call is scheduled, the team connects with the decision makers at a law firm and basically starts ironing out the SEO strategy. Don't want to go too deep into that because that itself
Mm-hmm.
should be a specific episode. I think
Yeah.
one unique point, what we do here on the map is we follow internally this system called Culture Index, where we
Mm-hmm.
hire and analyze people based on their personality traits. So we try to align people with the roles best fit for their personalities. Now, it's also
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Now we start rolling out a process where we want to align the client's personality with the account manager's personality. So
Oh
this
wow.
way,
Okay.
there's a really good alignment personality wise for them to build an ongoing working relationship that's really fluid, and it makes it easy for them to communicate with each other and figure out certain things. Um, so that's
Hmm.
something we started testing this quarter. It's been going really well. Clients enjoy it. It's something different.
Hmm. That's really interesting. Can you share an example of the same? Like, what could be the personality types of say a client, and then like how does it fit in with our team's cultural fit?
Yeah, sure. So why don't we talk about you? Your personality profile is Trailblazer, which is
Mm-hmm.
a very autonomous individual that is all about results, very self-sufficient, and just wants to go fast consistently and wants to have that momentum. So for an individual like that, they communicate the best with similar type individuals. So we need to make sure the account
Mm-hmm.
manager you're working with is also very big picture driver, uh,
Got it.
can bring that same type of energy to you. Now, if your
Hmm.
personality type would be, let's say, one is called craftsman. So those are more, there might not be as uh, high autonomous trait focused people, but they have very extremely high attention detail. So they will not go as fast, but they will really think over the necessary steps they need to make to proceed
Hmm.
with certain decisions. Let's say it's a strategy. They'll want to engage about the strategy in really deep levels. So we want to align that type of an individual with certain type of account manager that's going to bring the similar type of traits. So this way,
Hmm.
the craftsmen and trailblazers, they can work together, but the trailblazer is going to be expecting to go fast consistently. So the person then is coming to them and saying, "Hey, let's go over the plan. Let's really get into the details of this." The
Okay.
trailblazer type profile might feel like, oh, okay, it's too much details. We're going too slow. We're not spending enough time, actually getting the results. So
Hmm.
those are things we evaluate. This way, the working relationship is really fluid. At the end of the day, we're doing the same thing. It's just the communication aspect is so important, and the
Hmm.
closer relationship we can build with the clients, the easier it will be to go through the necessary steps within the SEO journey, because the SEO journey is, it's a journey, it's an investment. So it takes certain perseverance to go through certain challenges that SEO can bring.
Mm, mm, absolutely. I think that's very important. It's like kind of a unique thing that I've heard. I have not heard of like any agency kind of. Okay, maybe I'm overselling us, but I've not heard of such a situation where like we're kind of ensuring that there's a cultural or like it's like a soft skill. I think that if there's a good fit, then definitely communication and everything would be much more in sync, much more in line. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect. So I had another like other questions for you, but I think like, since we're talking about the team, I want to ask a team question, which would be like a good next question. So how many team members like work on a law firm SEO project, and what's like the team composition? Um, is there a division of hours?
Hmm.
Like if is like one person working on multiple campaigns? How does it look
Yeah.
like for? Let's start with like how does it look like for one specific campaign?
So it's definitely a team effort. The main person in charge is the account strategist. So they're the ones communicating directly with the client. Then the account strategist works with an SEO tech. So SEO tech is the one that puts together the strategy and then works with the account manager to refine it, make sure it aligns with clients' goals. Then within the same group, you
Hmm.
also have a link builder. We're talking about SEO campaigns, so you'll have an assigned link builder. The client will not be communicating that much with that person, but the account manager and the SEO tech will be communicating with the link builders to make sure that assigned link builder is clear on what type of links that we need to accomplish, what are the campaign objectives, etc. And then the third person that's not directly assigned on the account, but they will be working on the account, is editor. So we have two editors in
Hmm.
house. So the editors are the ones reviewing the content that the content team's putting together.
Hmm.
There are accounts where we assign specific writers and then they stay on those accounts for a long time. It could be for some more complex law aspects, or client is very particular with the tone of voice we're writing. So in those
Hmm.
cases, we might put a specific writer on the account.
Hmm.
But in general, um, content editor is the one that gets really familiarized with the assigned client book, and then they're the
Hmm.
ones that are editing the content and assigning the writers for the specific tasks.
Got it.
And then last would be also a web developer. We have a pretty big web development team, and SEO goes a lot hand to hand with web development. So
Hmm.
each web developers get assigned on accounts. So in this case, each account receives a web developer that familiarizes themselves with the site, and then they're able to work on that website without any hiccups, and they already know all the nuances.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and then I want to say that's it for the most part. Those are
Hmm.
the main people working on it. If you have a PPC campaign, then PPC manager would be brought into that
Okay.
hub. But I would say the main two people are the account manager and
Hmm.
the SEO tech. They're the ones that are making the difference. Well, of course, everyone is making a difference, but they're the ones deciding on a strategy and
Hmm.
really pushing that strategy through to execute it.
Hmm. And when people talk about a full stack team, like what do you think of, like what do you imagine is like a full stack? Is our team like a full stack SEO team?
I would absolutely say so. Yeah. Not only it's full stack, it's also being overseen by department directors. So
Hmm.
those are not people that are on your campaign on day-to-day basis, but they are the ones that own the departments. So for client strategy, it's the client strategy director. For
Hmm.
SEO, it's the SEO director. So their
Hmm.
ultimate goal of their jobs is to make sure our clients are succeeding. So they're looking at the portfolios and basically evaluating if all team members are performing at the highest possible level. Are we getting the maximum ROI for our clients' campaigns? And if
Hmm.
that's not happening, that gets escalated, and then we address those issues directly to figure out why aren't we getting the results, or what could be the case. Is it time, or is it actually our knowledge? Because
Hmm.
we try to be very transparent and double down on every issue is possibly happening in our agency.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Um, so specifically, these team members, is there like a process on a weekly or monthly, maybe quarterly basis? Is there some system that they follow in terms of their execution? You already mentioned the cultural thing, but I think that would be like more sort of.
Yeah.
I'm talking more about like the hard skill, kind of from that perspective. Like, how do
Yeah.
we execute things?
So we also operate on something called EOS, Entrepreneur Operational System.
Okay.
And what's interesting what this system has brought to our company is this framework where everyone has their scorecard. So whether you're account manager or SEO tech or web developer, you have your performance scorecard. So in SEO tech's case,
Hmm.
it's traffic. In account manager's case, it's leads. So we have these weekly touch points, like when our weekly meetings are happening, department directors are looking at all of their team member scorecards. And you can pretty quickly see whether the scorecard is dropping or increasing. So if we see drops, that signals a red flag that something is not going the right direction. And then our SEO director, I mean, he's built out systems just to look at our all managed client website portfolios and see the upward trends, downturn trends. I mean, he's pretty in depth with those things along with his team. Those are some senior SEOs that seen it all, done it all, and like that's the stuff they really enjoy. What else I could mention on this point? Um, yeah, mainly traffic and leads, and then rankings. We do a fun
Hmm.
thing actually every within the SEO tech meeting. They look at in the portfolio how many new page ones you have received. So
Mm-hmm.
what it means is basically we want to see how many new keywords have entered page one rankings. The
Mm-hmm.
more page one rankings we're getting, obviously more traffic we can get for our clients. And so our SEO team built, our director built this program where he's collecting all the page one rankings, and then he's seeing which ones are new, and they're reporting on those in their weekly meetings as well. And then that
Hmm.
also gets shared in our overall monthly meetings as one of kind of highlight points. We have a whole slide around that. We celebrate what new page one rankings we got, whether it's personal injury or criminal defense. It's always fun to see what are those new accounts coming into the page one, because once you enter the page one, that's when you really start seeing the traffic and leads. Ideally, you want to be top three, but page one is like the first milestone you need to
Hmm.
cross.
Hmm. Okay, perfect. So, like right now, we're talking about the like taking people backstage at our agency and how it works for a specific account. Like, let's talk about like for a specific account. When we are
Hmm.
executing, you already mentioned the EOS system that we rely on. Is there
Yeah.
some other like kind of team structure process or reporting? Like we already talked a bit about how we report on using our proprietary tool, Track, right? but is there
Yeah.
something else that like a law firm that we can
Yes.
share with law firms, that how it's like for a specific account?
Yeah. So we work in 90-day sprints.
Ah, okay.
So
Okay.
all our accounts receive 90-day strategies. So as you start working with us, we present a strategy to you. And that
Mm-hmm.
strategy includes mainly content, links, and technical SEO.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on the resources you're allocating to the campaign,
Mm-hmm.
we present to you with pages of content, topics you're going to be writing,
Mm-hmm.
pages that will receive backlinks, and then technical SEO assignments that will be executing it. And then once the
Okay.
client approves that, okay, these are the keywords and strategies we're going to go after, then our team executes that in those 90-day um, cycles. And as we execute things, we obviously inform clients. So
Mm.
that's a good structure, I would say.
Mm.
SEO has some bad reputation in some cases, so you kind of want to hit that head on and say, "Hey, working with us, you are buying deliverables. So regardless how you look at SEO, you know you're getting content for your website, you're getting quality backlinks, you're getting technical SEO. This way, you know your website is properly optimized, and no matter where you decide to do with that, it's an investment that you're making in yourself in your web property."
Mm. Mm. Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. And specifically also, like a client will obviously get some kind of weekly communication, if I'm not wrong, from us on like what are the
Yeah,
updates on the project.
yeah.
Um,
So the absolute must is once a month call where we look
okay.
at leads, traffic, closed cases. That's sort of
Mm-hmm.
what we call the performance review call.
Okay.
But let's say at the beginning of SEO campaign, the communication will be a lot more often, possibly
Mm.
weekly. Um,
Mm.
we don't really limit our account manager hours, at least not now. And
Okay.
some of our consultants, probably our coaches, saying, "Oh, Chris, you still haven't rolled it out." But we understand getting ROI on SEO campaigns is a task. So we want to give
Mm-hmm.
maximum return to our clients. So if we start limiting the account management hours, that's going to incur more costs on our clients. So right now, they are
Mm.
in like account management hours are not limited. We'll see how that rolls out in the future. But to your point, it really comes down to the client's involvement. If client wants to be super involved, we're actually very open to it because
Okay.
that means they're deeper in the SEO campaign itself. They understand
Mm.
more of the things we're doing and makes it
Mm.
more easier uh, to work together, get things done faster. Let's say we need more reviews, so we can
Mm.
share the strategies with a client how to get more Google Business Profile reviews. So there's a
Mm.
lot of these smaller topics that come up
Mm.
in the middle of the campaign, and then we can just touch on them head on. And I think the interesting part is once you start learning more about clients' business, there's so many new ideas that come out. It could be digital PR campaign idea or some sort of local outreach campaign or just nuances of the business where they are making more money, and then we can double down on those type of keywords, or just always something unique comes out as you continuously learn more about someone's business. And that's what our account managers want to do. They just want to build deeper relationship, and this way we can help them at every given moment on on maximizing return on their SEO campaign.
Mm. Awesome. So you mentioned something about learning about the business, and my next question is kind of related to that.
Okay.
Um, uh, at the beginning itself, like how much do we learn about like a attorney's business and their brand, and how do
Yeah.
we ensure like that our SEO and content efforts, they are on brand, like because like
Hmm.
attorneys might be very specific, and rightly so, because they want to represent their brand very accurately in search engines and to
Hmm.
any new prospect that lands on their website. So how do we ensure that it's on brand?
Yeah. Well, one, if they have any brand requirements design wise, clients can totally share that. We'll follow those 100%. For content perspectives, we send something called content questionnaire. So then
Okay.
clients fill out this content questionnaire that touches on brand voice and how you want to be talked about, or what things we should not say, because that's more
Mm.
often than what we should say. And
Mm.
then we even provide content writing samples at first, make sure the writer that we have assigned is up to par with the voice clients expecting. So then between those couple of steps, we're able to figure out that ideal combination between the content voice and content that client is desires.
Mm.
So far has worked pretty well, but that's what I was saying. Also, at the beginning of the campaigns, the involvement is a lot more hands-on till we
Mm.
figure these little nuances out, and then it kind of goes into more um, self-sufficient process where the client's involvement is not necessary as much.
Mm, okay. You also mentioned something about writers. So, like, are these writers trained legal experts? Do they have like niche expertise? Like you mentioned, vetting them is possible for a client.
Yeah.
So, like, where do we
So
source them from? Like, who are these people?
yeah, so it's an interesting process. Well, first of all, kudos to our chief editor, Chelsea. She's done an amazing job finding the writers and vetting them and bringing them into our system. But we find them, there's a lot of job boards out there where
Mm.
people are actually looking for these type of jobs. The way we vet legal writers is, one, we ask for legal writing experience. So
Mm.
if that checks off and they have solid legal writing examples and they pass our test, really their background doesn't matter. Maybe they just found passion in legal writing and kind of went that
Absolutely.
path. Another
Absolutely.
path is looking for legal students. We've had some success with those. Little challenge with that is they can get busy with a law school. We had an
Mm.
amazing
Mm.
writer, then he kind of got deeper into the school, and we couldn't really count on him anymore, unfortunately. But that's
Mm.
the reality. Uh, Paralegals that are trying to make money on the side, that works also pretty well. And then we had a great editor some time ago. He was actually a police officer, so he had a lot of
Okay.
exposure to law in general. So I'd say the scenarios are plenty. It's more about, in my opinion, having a really good editor that
Mm.
can decide whether the content writing is, up to our quality standards, up to our clients' quality standards. And if that checks off, their background doesn't really matter. So
Mm.
we put a big emphasis on having really high quality editor that understands things of this nature, and then she can find the necessary writers, however, whatever she thinks is the best way. um, and of course, at the end of the day, it's about rankings. So if our content quality is getting the rankings, then we're in a good place. So
Mm.
I know I gave you a broad answer, but those really are the scenarios we go through to build our writer roster.
Awesome. And the editor that we are talking about, so are they a legal expert, or do they have like domain expertise to judge if or maybe like they're an expert in editing itself and they are kind of judging if it's
Yeah.
matching the brand tone? Like how is that like?
So in this case, it'd be a combination of all three. So one, just experience in legal content editing for 7+ years. Chelsea has been
Wow.
exposed
Okay.
to agency world, working with attorneys, law firms. So that itself, you've probably seen every possible practice area content. So you already know what kind of issues to look for. Are we referencing the right laws? Are we talking about the right states?
Hmm.
So things of that sort. Um, then second, um, again, the legal experience, I think it comes more to just being exposed to the topic itself.
Mm-hmm.
So in her case, she's been really exposed to the topic for over 7 years. So
Mm-hmm.
that fully checks off. And then, matching the voice, that's the that's the beauty of the editors, where really good editor is able to bend and shift the voice of content in, within the specific light that content, that client anticipates. And I believe Chelsea's amazing at doing that. So we're in a pretty good place when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
content and being able to produce high quality content for our client sites and for Google, and obviously the people who are reading it.
Amazing. I think you also we also use Surfer, so you also can talk about if that is if that is something
Yeah,
important. It's if it's a part of our uh, strategy as well.
yeah. So Surfer SEO is one of the tools we use.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to assist with content optimizations in more automated way, I would say. This way,
Mm.
in the past, before this tool, we would have to look at the content almost in a manual way and kind of see how are we using all keyword combinations in it, even though
Mm.
people will argue and say, hey, Google should already pick it up. The reality is you still need to tie those synonym keywords in the content. So we try to touch on all possible synonyms. So
Mm.
Surfer is great at doing that. Surfer is also great at helping us prepare content briefs, just speeds up the time.
Mm.
Uh, Everyone's talking about the GPT-3 right now, how AI chats are taking over the world. Well, reality is AI software that generates content for you has been actually around for some time, and it just hasn't been so ubiquitous yet.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
Surfer SEO has done a great job. They actually scrape the search engine result pages, and then they
Mm-hmm.
collect top 5 or top 10 page optimizations and content, and then give you recommendations how to write yours, which
Mm.
basically before we used to do manually, and now this tool helps us do it automatically. So also tells
Mm.
you roughly what the content length should be.
Mm.
Again, we can argue you could outrank a site with less content, but these are just leading indicators that's
Yep.
worthwhile following. Shortcuts the time. When you're
Yep.
working on 150 accounts as an agency, we need to speed up things as much as possible in every possible way, and Surfer does a great job at that.
Mm. It's like another layer of, I would say, quality check. We already have a lot
Yeah,
of quality check, but it's another layer which really helps, I think, and ensures that the
yeah, exactly.
article is optimized. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So as we're talking about content, let's talk a bit also about like what kind of content do we generally create for attorneys? Is it just blog
Yeah.
posts? Do we also create landing pages? And are they SEO optimized always? Is it for different practice areas? How does it work?
Oh, it's amazing question. We create every possible content piece you can think about that website has. Starting from practice area pages, we think of them more as hubs. There's deep content silos that need to be built out. So for a car accident page, you will have additional 10 supporting pages about most
Mm.
common accidents, traumas,
Mm.
different aspects of the car accident. This way, we can build the topical expertise of our clients.
Mm.
So then these hubs are also require pretty nice website development, in my opinion, because you need to interlink those pages.
Correct.
You might have dynamic interlinking, maybe you have contextual interlinking. Difference between those is whether you have the supporting pages in sidebar or you have them in text.
Mm.
Ideally, you could even have both.
Mm.
So then you have to apply same process to all practice area pages, and
Mm.
this way you can really build a deep knowledge base for our clients on respective topics, and that's how Google is going to give you the credibility and say, okay, yes, this website does have a lot of information on topic X. Then once you have mastered that, then you go into blog articles, which is another supporting layer to build topical expertise and talk about different aspects of the law. um,
Mm.
so those would be primary two types of content that we focus on, which is the practice area pages and then supporting content through blog articles.
Mm.
Also, I think it's worth mentioning that we write guest posts on behalf of our clients too. We have
Okay.
a lot of um, legal websites that we're able to get our clients as guest writers. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a secret to anyone that you need backlinks to rank. So we have built great relationships with websites where we're able to get high quality backlinks for our clients, and those are like legal
Mm.
blog, different business websites, you know, different type of sites that contextually connect the dots for a client and that website, and then we get our clients as guest writers on those websites, and we write those guest articles on their behalf.
Perfect. And I think like those guest posts can even land leads occasionally, or again, I guess like they're at least great for brand awareness for the client as well, besides just SEO. So,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely. I wouldn't go into an SEO campaign telling client that we'll be generating leads from these guest articles, but occasionally
hmm,
that can definitely happen. So
hmm.
it's certainly a possibility.
Okay. Awesome. That's like about content. I think that's all I had about content. Now let's talk about specifically, like, say if we have a new law firm website. I had asked you this question even in our last episode, but now I want to look at like how will we kind of divide the budget in terms of content links if it's like a brand new website, then like
Okay.
what do you like for such cases? Is this like an edge case, or generally like do you think that we work with websites which have a decent authority behind them?
hmm I'd say mainly we work with websites that have authority
Okay.
to some extent. I mean, even if it's about 70-30, 30% cases websites don't have any authority.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have to focus a lot on just building out the content itself, because most likely the website has no content. So you have to
Got
go
it.
from 10 pages to like 100 just to build that topical layer where
Mm.
content is being recognized. I think also stage one, if the website is relatively new, that means they also haven't put themselves on all of the main kind of law firm directories. So
Mm.
that's a nice way how to gain links too, at least at the initial stage of the campaign, because you don't
Mm.
want to also blast a brand new website with tons of some guest posting sites. You kind of want to take things gradually.
Mm.
So for the brand new sites, we would focus a lot on just building out the content at first and getting them in all the necessary directories first. This way, the law firm gets recognized as legitimate law firm in certain area.
Hmm. Perfect. So I have two quick questions for you related to what you talked about. The first one is on directories. So a lot of prospective clients and even clients, I guess, like sometimes they ask us this thing: how can you outrank directories? We're right now talking about getting law firms in directories, but is there some way you recommend? Like, is there a way to outrank these directories in search? Because that's like a
Yeah,
question
well,
that many law firms have.
outranking directories is a interesting question. We never really look at the SERP and say, "Hey, how do we outrank the directories?" We just look at the SERP and say, "How do we get our client to be position one for whichever keyword they're looking to target?"
Hmm.
Um, with that in mind, how do you get to number one? My opinion, that's higher level topical authority. So directories will always rank pretty high because they just have extremely high domain authority and unique
Hmm.
information that people search for. If someone's searching best car accident lawyer, um, they like to see lists, and Google knows that, and it's going to serve you a lot of lists. So if it's
Hmm.
serving lists, that means it's directories. So the search intent in this case already insinuates that Google's going to be serving directories. So
Hmm.
it might mean that you're never going to outrank these directories because Google will never put in a single website with just a practice
Correct.
area page to rank number one for best car accident lawyer, Miami, whatever, whichever city. It's going to put a list that's going to come from very possible one of the main directories we see there, like FindLaw or whichever. Pick one. Expertise, that's another one that's coming up. So in our case, what we would do, we actually like working with these directories to expand our clients' lead flow. So it also helps SEO. You and I, we talk a lot about entity SEO. So if we can get our client number one in a directory that's already ranking number one, that means it's also called parasite SEO, where technically we
Hmm.
are ranking number one for respective keyword, but we're ranking number one through the directory. which is a really neat trick that I think a
Mm.
lot of people haven't recognized. It's not being talked about a lot. In some cases, it is expensive, but in some, it's not that bad. It just kind of depends on the metropolitan cities and the pricing policies. But that can be a really nice way to generate additional lead flow by ranking those directories. And you don't have to wait, 6 months or whatever the time frame is till you end up ranking position one. You actually get to position one right away if that slot is available, or you have to, figure out some kind of deal with those respective directories. And it's definitely
Mm.
cheaper than buying traffic through PPC. So it can be a clever way how you can generate leads and you get additional value back to your website by being on that directory. And in most successful law firms I've seen, they're just leveraging every possible channel. So obviously, your allocated resources a question, but um, back to your question about outranking directories, I think it's worthwhile looking into them and saying, hey, can I
Mm.
even outrank them in this for this keyword?
Yep.
Which directories are ranking the best? How much
Mm.
would it be for me to appear on those? Because if someone's looking for service, they might they might not take the decision with the first search. They might look
Mm.
around a couple of times. It's actually proven that it takes 7 interactions with a brand till one makes a decision. So let's say they
Mm.
went on directory, they saw the brand, they searched again, they saw the brand in a SERP, and then through those steps, that's when they see the brand several times. Then they end up making that decision saying, hey, I feel comfortable going with this firm. I saw them several occasions when I was doing the research. So, they internalize it and say, hey, this is the best decision.
Mm. Perfect. So I think like that's really a great point that you brought on. I like both. I like both the things actually. The search intent, like if it's possible to outrank the directory, if at all, then only it makes sense, and we go for number one. So it's just like calling for doing good old SEO 101 things that we do, and we would
Yeah.
do anyway. And if it is a directory which we can't outbeat, and even if like you maybe can in the short term, it could make sense to pursue parasite SEO in just I guess like buy a spot there if that's possible.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is another question which I think law firms tend to have. Can a attorney or a law firm website like rank in a location where they don't have a physical presence? Like I'm sure we might have gotten a lot of such
Hmm.
scenarios. So
Yeah. So the answer is you can rank organically. We've done
okay.
that for clients several times. But Google Business Profile will be an issue because you can't rank in Google Business Profile unless you have a real location. You could say, "Oh, I have a virtual address." A couple of years ago, virtual addresses still worked.
Mm,
Since the Opossum algorithm update, Google knows that you're a virtual office, and it makes it a lot harder to rank those. Now,
mm,
there are some workarounds. I would say, looking for maybe less known virtual offices
mm,
and then getting the postcard actually sent there. You'll have to be able to send actually upload pictures on Google Business Profile. So you have to work with the virtual office to make sure they get you all the necessary information for your office to look legitimate. I mean, to be legitimate. Um, so it becomes a complicated process, but that's definitely someone can look into executing.
okay, perfect.